All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we are going to talk about one of the greatest fighters of this century and some shocking words he had about two of the best fighters right now, Terence Bud Crawford and Jaron Ennis. Roy Jones Jr. speaks his mind, and people need to listen very carefully to what he said, because this, in my opinion, shows exactly why we got to get that unification fight at 147 pounds between Terence Crawford and Jaron Ennis. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this boxing conversation, we are going to go into the 147-pound division. But before I stop there, I want to remind everybody that really good fights are few and far between, and we've got a lot of propaganda flying around in the sport of boxing about what the best fighters are, trying to drum up a bunch of interest for things that are not worth spending your time watching. There are Jake Paul fights flying all over the place. There's celebrity boxing matches with KSI flying all over the place. You've got UFC versus boxing versus heavyweight champions and former heavyweight champions going on in Saudi Arabia. Basically, boxing freak shows that get a lot of attention out of the boxing media. But really, if you examine it and you look at it closely, really isn't worth much of your time. At the same time, we've got fights that could potentially be some of the best we've seen in our lifetime that people put roadblock in front of, roadblock after roadblock after roadblock in front of, and give you a million reasons why the fight can't happen. And in this instance, I'm talking about a fight between Terence Bud Crawford, the WBA, the WBC, and the WBO 147-pound champion, and the IBF welterweight champion, Jaron Boots Ennis. And this topic was addressed by Roy Jones Jr., who said, and now let me say this in a dramatic way, that Terence Crawford is in a very tough and even fight with Jaron Ennis, provided Jaron Ennis can do one thing. Now, before I get into that, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. And if you are a longtime subscriber and supporter of the channel, thank you so much for your continued support. It really makes a huge difference to the channel. Thank you for your support and the super thanks. Matty, you were just so consistent, and I appreciate you. And once again, rest in peace to the great John Bowie, big time supporter and friend of the channel, passed away the other day. So if anybody knew John Bowie and hadn't heard about it in another video that I talked about, send your prayers up for John Bowie and his family as he has departed this life. And let's get into this though, because Roy Jones Jr. cut to the chase on this thing with Jaron Ennis, was asked about Jaron Ennis and Terence Crawford. And he said, look, man, Jaron Ennis is as skilled as Terence Crawford is. He said he can do everything in the book. He's missing absolutely nothing. And he absolutely has the ability to beat Terence Crawford. And said the only thing that we don't know about Jaron Ennis is whether or not Jaron Ennis has a chin, because we haven't really seen him touched on the chin. We haven't seen him in a situation where he's gotten hit like that. Other than that, he says Jaron Ennis can beat Terence Crawford. Now, note what I'm saying, though. I'm not saying that he will beat him. I'm saying that he can beat him. And that's what you want when you have 50-50 fights. Take, for example, some historic fights like Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier. And I'm bringing up these examples to tell you the difference between can beat him and will beat him. Muhammad Ali can beat Joe Frazier. Could beat Joe Frazier, put it in the past tense. Could beat Joe Frazier. How do you know that? Because he beat him twice. Joe Frazier could beat Muhammad Ali. How do you know? Because Joe Frazier beat him once. right? There you go. Hakeem Rahman could beat Lennox Lewis. How do you know? Because he beat him once. Lennox Lewis could beat Hakeem Rahman. Why? Because he beat him once. That is how good fights are. That's what good fights are. They're fights where one person has the ability to win another fight, and one fighter has the ability to beat another fighter, and that's what I mean, and that's what I mean by when I say that Roy Jones Jr. said Jaron can beat Terence Crawford, and when you're looking at somebody as good as Terence Crawford, dude, there's not a lot of people that you can really say that about. And you're talking about an undisputed fight. That fight needs to take place, man. Especially if the rematch with Errol Spence and Terence Crawford did not take place, then why in the world would we not? Why would we sit up here and celebrate somebody like Anthony Joshua for fighting Francis Ngannou, an 0-1 fighter from the UFC, and say, yeah, okay, this is what we really want to see? It's not what we really want to see. It's something that if they put up on the screen, somebody may watch, right? Because it's some oddity, but it's not what people are calling for. That's not some world-class, it's not some world-class event that people want. And we're consistently getting fights like, maybe not at that level of silliness, because I think that that's absolutely silly. Tyson Fury jumped in a ring with Francis Ngannou and he got dropped. Probably because Tyson Fury was being sloppy and irresponsible in his preparations for it. So now you're going to have a situation where Anthony Joshua, who's looked like garbage for the last couple years, let's just be honest, other than the fight that he had with Otto Wallen, who was not some exemplary fighter, is going to now look masterful against a guy that's 0-1. And wow, look what we got going again. A bunch of hype job nonsense. But yet we can't get people to consistently require or ask for the best two fighters in one of the top historical weight classes to fight each other. You got people just making excuse after excuse or reason after reason why it can't happen. Terence Crawford doesn't want the fight. We've already heard Terence say he doesn't want it. Terence has other things to do. What other things does Terence have? If you don't have to fight Jaron, if you don't have to fight Errol Spence, what other things does he have to do? Be real. What other things are there out there in boxing for him? Would you have him going all the way up to 168 pounds to fight Canelo Alvarez? Terence Crawford has not proved that he's one of the best 168 pounders. and Canelo Alvarez hasn't been at 147 pounds for over a decade. So how is that establishing who's the best in that weight class? It's not, because you haven't fought David Benavidez and he hadn't fought David Morrell. And Terence Crawford's not trying to fight David Benavidez or David Morrell because honestly, those are mismatches. So I don't understand why people won't just say, hey man, let's see the fight with the people that are in the same weight classes, right? Same thing goes for situations like Gervonta Davis and Shakur Stevenson. Gervonta Davis doesn't have to move up to 140 or chase Devin Haney to 199 pounds or whatever it is he's going to wind up walking in the ring at. He's got Shakur Stevenson right there. And Lomachenko right there. And there's promotional walls that prevent those fights from happening or slow those up. But still, it's a conversation that's about real fights that can happen. Anyway, I like that Roy Jones said that because it's true. Man, Jaron Ennis is like that. He's closer to 30 years old than he is to 20 years old. He's closer to 40 fights than he's as close to 40 fights as he has to 20. He's got a ton of knockouts. He's a spectacular fighter. He can challenge Terence Crawford. So let's see the challenge. Let's see Terence get pushed to the limit, man. I think that'd be a great thing. Anyway, that's my take on the matter. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.